LCBN television broadcasts 24/7 on UK Freeview Channel 271, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, Google TV, See Love World, LCBNTV.com, LifeComTV.com.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Lydia. Today I've got somebody who's known me for over 40 years. I bet you all didn't think I was that old. So she's a childhood friend. But today we're going to talk about living and having and nurturing a child with special needs. I know I've had another guest who talked about her journey, but she's got a daughter. Today we have somebody who's going to talk about raising a boy who has special needs. She's going to talk about the joys and the challenges of having a child that you need to support. So if you help me welcome, my friend today, Jackie Oli.
Hi, hello, Jackie. Everybody. Hello, Lydia.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you for agreeing to come and share your journey with us.
It's been a journey. Been quite
okay. I know I've got a bio, but I think maybe you want to talk a bit about yourself.
My name is Jackie Ayandike Chima. Trained as a computer analyst, turned to a retail business development person. My career built it up. I started in the banking industry for close to 15 years before I branched off into construction, which is where I was until I set up my own small business in property management. I'm a mother of two boys. My older child is 16 and he lives with autism and has severe learning difficulties. My younger son is 14 and he's a pillar. I would say he's a pillar.
Okay, so he's been propping you on this journey.
Yes, he's my pillar of support because I'm a single mother, so he's my pillar of support.
Okay, so when you were pregnant with Jessie, what were your expectations?
Well, I would say first off, I'd heard of autism and all that, but it never occurs to you until it happens to you. And I never expected that he would come out with special needs. Of course, everybody hopes to have healthy. He was very healthy. I had the full 9 months, no stress, no complications, and my labor was brief, 5 hours, I think, because I've heard of people doing 2 days labor, 4 days labor. Mine was just 5 hours, and Jessie was out. I think at birth there, the only complication at that time was I was big and I had a small cervix, so he had to have a forceps delivery. And he was quite tall for a baby. He was about 4 kg, I think.
Wow, that's a big baby.
Yes, he was big. And that was it. I never expected he would have any special needs growing up. You know, when you talk to pediatricians, growing up, he came out 9 months, although he had quite a bit of health worries up until he was 4.5. He kept having recurrent ear, nose, and throat infections and had to have antibiotics. he took antibiotics for a very long time, which wasn't supposed to be. But what do we do?
Okay.
Because he was born in Nigeria.
That was going to be my next statement, that he was born in a different country in Africa. And of course, by the time he was 4.5, you'd had your second son, you'd become
yes.
So you had a child who was in some way poorly, but not more than the norm.
Yes.
Or did you notice anything about it?
He started school, normal babbling, but when you ask people, so boys don't talk very fast. They pick up later. They don't develop as fast as girls. So I didn't really worry about it. But when he started school, nursery school, and the teacher asked to see me after, because he had a teacher assigned to him, and she was always saying that he was always crying. Sometimes he's crying, sometimes he's happy, but he did more of the crying. And I'm like, maybe he didn't like the school, or he didn't like the people around him. But she said, no, there's something else, that I need to check him out, that she's had experience with such things, that I might need to check him out. And I said, fine, I'll look into it. So eventually, when he was 2.5, I was expecting the normal mommy, dada, I didn't hear anything. The only thing I could hear from him was Barney, because he was a Barney fan, and he would point and Barney, that's it, And I worried about it. I spoke to a pediatrician, and she said, no, it's late development, he will develop. And this went on until he was 3. At the time he was 3, he had had so many infections. He had been on antibiotics. So then we used to live in Port Harcourt. So I now took him to a specialist in Lagos, who said he had an ear infection, and it looked as if it had affected his hearing. And she said this was the Nigerian Army Specialist Center, and that was the only place you could do an audiology test in the whole of Nigeria. And we did the test, and they said he was deaf in his right ear and partially deaf in his left, and he would have to use hearing aids. And I said, really? And she now said there was something else. That was the first time there was a suspicion of autism, because she's American trained, and she said she suspects he's on the spectrum, that I might need to do further assessments. Now in Nigeria, we really don't have those kind of assessments. It was quite difficult, but I eventually met with a consultant in Luthden, and she gave me an appointment. Very difficult to get an appointment with her. She gave me an appointment, and we went to see her. Coincidentally, she was also on the spectrum, but not the extreme end of the spectrum. And that was when she told me that Jesse was autistic. That was the first time I heard about it. Of course, in my mindset, I was, no, not my son.
So you were in denial?
I was in denial for quite a bit. And but I took her diagnosis and went home, sat down, of course, shed my few tears, and looked at, and I kept calling him. I called his name. He will look, he'll smile. He'll smile. I said, my son can hear. At this time, I'd already paid for the hearing aids and everything, but I turned around and said, look, God, I'm a talkative. Why would my son not talk? Why would he not hear? And I kept faith. I said, God, you have to do this for me. And I said, no, I'm not going to take those hearing aids. So I asked them to refund my advance, that he wasn't going to take any hearing aids. And then he had surgery at 4.5. He had his adenoids removed at 4.5 years. And I looked at it then that, okay, fine. If the medical team says that he has to have it removed, that it was too big and was affecting his ear and nose, that was fine. And then we now began the journey of recovery from that. It took a while. Then I'll play loud cartoons to see if he could hear me. And it just stays in one position. Then suddenly, one day, I played a loud cartoon. He was in another room, and I saw him running to the front of the TV. And I said, this is somebody they said that had hearing problems. So he could hear, but he couldn't express himself. And that was the beginning of the journey of special needs, of autism.
So, what made you feel he didn't need the hearing aids? Because that had been recommended by a specialist.
Because I knew my son could hear me. I sing to him, I see him smile. I call his name and he laughs. I had a pet name for him there, and when I call it, he's smiling now from ear to ear. And he's listening to his cartoons. He hears the bunny and he's swinging. He's, So why would you say he didn't hear? I could say, okay, fine. He can't express himself, but he could hear. Probably the long usage of antibiotics was affecting his hearing.
Yeah.
Yes, I could accept that, but not that he was completely deaf.
He was completely deaf because you were told he was deaf in one ear and
In one ear and completely deaf in the other
one.
Partially deaf in the other one.
So what would the hearing aid have done? Would he have been able to, he
Well,
would be wearing
what I
it
was
in the
told-
hearing ear?
Pardon?
Would he be
Sorry.
able to hear now from both ears?
Yeah, what they said, they was going to improve his hearing if I had used the hearing aids.
Okay.
They would have put it would have been attached to the cochlea inside the ear to improve his hearing, and that would bring about speech, because they said they related, of course,
The speech
hearing and
impediment.
speaking. Yes, so if he can hear you, he can answer you. But I didn't think he was deaf. I really felt very strongly that he was not deaf. He could hear. He wasn't able to express himself, but he could hear.
So this was the mother instinct in you,
Yes.
connecting with your child and knowing actually the other part I may not understand, but this I know for sure. Okay, so now you what is now happening with his dad and his brother, because it now almost feels like the two of you are on a journey. What happens to these other
Well,
people?
unfortunately, his dad refused to accept the diagnosis and brought about so many issues. We had marital issues. We had the relationship broke down, basically, because I focused a lot on
A lot of energy on
help,
it.
and I needed his support, and he just didn't accept that. That was what happened to him, and we had to part our ways in 2010, and I've carried the journey on by myself since then till now.
Okay.
Just his brother, of course, came along, and he was worried, but with time, he was like, the roles now switched. He became the bigger brother, because I had to see a psychologist, I had to see a therapist, and what they told me then was, despite the fact that he might be 4 or 6, at that time he was 6 years old, he had the mind of a 1-year-old. And I have to work with him in that line. He does his things at his own pace. He does it as best as he can understand you, if he understands at all. So his brother was more or less the person, Jesse, do it this way. Jesse, do it this way. It's like this. It's like this, They still are close.
Yes, still close. Okay.
They're still close.
So his younger brother now assumes not older, but as was almost like a little coach.
A young
to
carer.
him. Yeah, like a young carer we call, but also a coach in sort of egging him on and
Yes,
saying,
very true.
and encouraging him how to do the right thing. So at 4.5, you get this diagnosis that this might be wrong, what was wrong with him or who he was now. You said something about like some part of me was like, no, this can't be my child. This is not about my child. This somebody else is not mine.
Yeah.
So how did you work through that denial? How did you sort of?
Well, a lot.
If you have,
Yes.
sometimes.
Yeah, I have. I have done that. I took a year of work. I started looking, researching, talking to people. We didn't really have many professionals that were into special needs in Nigeria. It was difficult. I had to travel far to about 4 or 5 different places to ask people. Eventually, I reached out to the National Autistic Society here in the UK. So they sent me quite a bit of literature and sites to go to look at, I should say this, look at the symptoms and compare with myself. So when I look at one symptom, I'll look at my child. I'll say, okay, is he doing that? That was how I started. It took a while, and I had one friend who was training as a psychologist then, and told me that, look, you haven't accepted it. If you accept it, then it's easier. So she guided me through for over 8 months. Guided me through. She was talking to me every day. I will cry my tears in front of her. I'll scatter myself. I'll break down. I'll do everything in front of her. For like 1 year, it took me that long to really accept it. And now start physically, that's effectively looking for support.
So it takes a while to sort of come to terms.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, that's what you're
It
saying.
does.
That there is so much expectation when we're pregnant with a child, and we're hoping that the child is going to meet all the milestones, and then somewhere along the line somebody tells you, oh, he may never reach them, or he will reach them at his own pace, but not in the way that we imagine it will be.
Yes.
So that carries quite a lot of disappointment. So
It does.
did you feel guilty? Did you feel?
Yes, that came in. I was like, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? Did I eat too much chocolate? Did I eat too much ice cream? Did I, so many things you eat, you check your 9 months of pregnancy. What is there anything you did that you shouldn't have done? And I looked at myself. I felt guilty. I thought it was me. I'm the one that caused it. I did something. Maybe when I was eating too much of this or too much of that, it affected him. And, when you talk about special needs, our thinking then, or my thinking then, is that maybe he has a broken leg or he has brain malfunction or something. But looking at him, there was nothing. Anybody that sees it for the first time will not even know. You will think, oh, he's the rude boy, he doesn't want to talk to anybody. But he didn't understand. He will smile at you, he will laugh with you and everything. So quite a bit, I had blamed myself. I blamed my environment. I blamed everybody else, but I never accepted it. I just said, I must have done something wrong. And I started telling God, I said, God, if I didn't, forgive me. But after I accepted it, I started reading quite a bit about it. Got books, spoke to professionals, even came to the UK to get, what do I do? Where is the way forward from here? And we came to a conclusion that he needed intervention as early as possible. Of course, I was working. I just took a year of work. And I was working. I said, okay, I'm going to look for that intervention. And I asked for stuff. Do you have any links in Nigeria? And they said at that time they didn't have any. So I went back to the consultant that actually diagnosed him in Luth. She had a small setup that she was using to help such children, but it was private. So I engaged her, and Jesse was being taught at home. He was being taught at home. He was in, let me say, therapy and intervention at home. I had to prepare a room for him with the different things they asked me to get for him and stuff like that. Flashcards, sensory toys, stuff like that. And I put it in a room. He had a room for himself where he did his classes every day. But I eventually accepted and started working on myself. I started working on myself to accept it, and I had to carry my family along too, because my family too didn't understand that. My parents were like, "You're spoiling this child." They felt, "Oh, spank him, do this," But African way, there was something else to it. We needed to get, so I had to print out, boldly written, everything about autism for my parents to read.
Yeah, because that was going to be my next question. Actually, it prompted me, because I know, here we live in a society where it can just be you and your family, like a nuclear family.
Yes.
But most other cultures, the extended family are the family. There's almost no nuclear family.
Yes.
Like it goes from
Yeah.
You to the parents, to your siblings, to cousins, to aunties, and everybody is in your business. They're,
Yes. Everybody.
everybody. Yeah, because we
Everybody.
have this. It takes a village to raise a
To raise
child.
a child.
Yeah. So the community is there, but they're also quite noisy, and they can critique and sometimes can be very hostile, which is what you're saying. Like your parents were like, you can't let him do what he's doing. He's 6 or however
Yes.
old he was. We expect him to be behaving in this manner, saying hello, being courteous. And how were your in-laws?
Ooh. At this time, we were already having problems. I was already having problems with their father. And up till now, well, up until I left left Nigeria, they still didn't accept it. They still didn't accept it because they felt that he will talk. He will talk. Just bring him. We know what to do. And I'm like, I don't know what you think you can do. Because his father refused to accept, so definitely his family won't accept.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing was to blame me. That is for
Yes,
my family.
yeah. That this cannot be part of
It cannot
us.
be exactly.
Yes,
It cannot be from my family. It's from your
because
family.
you are the stranger. You
Yes,
came
and
to
of
us.
course, some men, not everyone. My husband now said maybe I was unfaithful to him,
Okay.
and that's why this is punishment. So many things came out. So many, so much from left, right, and center. So many people, cousins. Oh, this, that, But they know now what they should have known then. If I had that support from them, then I'm sure that would have so much would have been done by now.
Okay.
But because in Africa as a whole, in Nigeria, everything borders around the man, the head of the family. Every decision is around him. It took a while. I had to get my divorce first before I could find support outside Nigeria.
Okay.
So Jesse was already 8 before we came
Right.
to the UK.
Before we came. Okay. So now you're not only managing your child that has special needs, you have another son, you have difficulties in your marriage and relationship, but you're now having to manage all these other things that people are saying about you. You're being accused of infidelity in your marriage, and you're like wondering what's going on. But then now the sort of accusations also are coming from other people, in-laws, extended family, let's say. So how did you sort of manage all of that?
It was tough. It was quite tough. And unfortunately, I was working in an environment that was very demanding. I was traveling a lot. I had I had to work some weekends, and they were like, she's not taking care of the child. She's not there for the child. Do you know what she went to do when she traveled? And it was painful, but because I had a clear conscience and I had God on my side, I told them, I said, look, from the first day, the day I got married till dates, till that time, I've been faithful to my husband. I don't know what's happened. I don't know what is going on. Up to now, I still was struggling to understand it until one person, I can't begin to thank her enough. She told me one thing. Jessie was 6.5 then. She said, look, your child's difficulties are no fault of yours. I will break down this the way you would understand it. Every child has a brain. The extent of how the brain develops is different. You have a child that they say his IQ is above an adult's IQ, but he's still a child. Then you have a child whose brain is not as developed as his age should be. That we don't have the resources in this country to help your son. if you have the resources to take him out of the country, please do so. And the window of intervention for expressive speech will shut down by the time he's close to 7. He has receptive speech, quite all right, but to express himself, he can't. And she said I should ignore everybody around me, that there was nothing I did that was wrong. She even asked to cancel my husband. My husband refused to go. So I was left with the burden of trying to convince everybody else. I started with my parents because I didn't think I owed it to anybody else. But I started with my parents, and my parents started opening up. In church, then my mom would take him and put him in front of the church. And, people would be squeezing their faces and looking at her that he's making noise. And she would carry her head up high and say, that's my grandchild. She still didn't fully understand, but she was accepting it. And I had my siblings, my cousins, and I'm the first daughter of my father. So there was a lot of expectations. Everybody's like, oh, but with the help of my siblings and my parents, my family, as wide as it is, began to accept him for who he was.
And what you are describing now, sort of your mom going to the front and being very proud, was addressing the shame that came attached with having
the stigma.
The stigma, attached to it.
Yes.
So in her doing it, even though it's a struggle for everybody, it was a way of identifying with him and saying, actually, he may be different, but he's one of us.
That's it.
Yeah, that's quite a powerful story. So this is 6 now. He's being told. You are being told that at 7, the ability for him to develop might become stunted if you don't make a decision. And because there was no help in Nigeria, the help you had from the lady in Luth, for those who don't know, is
Lagos University Teaching Hospital.
Okay.
Federal Hospital in Nigeria.
In Nigeria. Lagos. And that help had helped you to a point, but it was no longer suitable for him. You now had to look for help. And when you were telling the story about reading and going on the internet and all of that, it was like you had to I think why I'm bringing it back is because we tend to take a lot of it for granted here. Yeah. So if he was here, he would have been referred to somebody who would have done all that digging and all that research on your behalf and all the testing. Because there was something you said where you were saying, I would read it and then I would observe him, which is what the language we would use. Observe him. Does he do this or no, he doesn't do that? So it was like you had to diagnose your child yourself, because I know that people would get given a report, they would have a consultant, they would be given a therapist, there would be a dietitian. All of this would be there to explain to the parent, this is how this child is, this is what to expect, this is how you manage it. But for you had to do all of that.
I had to do everything by myself.
Everything, So you had to diagnose and find out, because it's a spectrum, so there are varying degrees to it. And I think what makes these children special is they're not like every other child that if you teach them times table, they'll all learn it by 5, 6, 7. So they're not a one rule or one blanket fits all. They have to, you have to devise a special plan for every special needs.
Every special need child has a different ability.
And they're unique to themselves.
You need to identify what the ability and expand on it.
So it's like you now, even though somewhere in you, that may have driven you actually. in sort of trying to understand what was wrong. It drove you into doing the research. It drove you into asking the questions, because that in itself, as well as the counseling, helped you understand and accept
Yes, it
him.
did.
Yeah,
It did.
yeah,
It
and
drove
understand
me.
his limitations.
Yes, it drove me to. You see, the first thing, when a child, even as a teacher, if a child is not learning, your first instinct is impatience. It taught me how to be patient. When you say patient, not patient as in wait a little, wait a long while.
That's what the
Wait
Bible
a
called long
long
suffering.
while. Huh? You said?
Long. The
Yeah,
Bible
you see
calls
that
it
I stressed it long while.
long while.
Because one, you teach him, you have to wear sandals and he's removing it.
It's time. It's time to go out.
Yes,
It's time to go
exactly.
out. Yeah.
Then he got to a stage where the sandals never came off until he's asleep. He comes out of the bathroom, he tiptoes. He doesn't want to put his foot on the ground. You wear the sandal from when he's had his bath in the morning till he goes to sleep at night. That sandal does not come off.
It doesn't come.
But at a point in time, he didn't want to wear them. So
Yeah.
it's a lot. They're extremes. It's either he starts from the beginning or he starts from the end. There's no middle way.
So at 6 and a bit, you get this advice saying, if you don't intervene now,
Yeah.
this is it. He's not going to develop further than this.
Yeah.
And you're in a country where his needs would not be met. Your family is, accepting him. Your in-laws are not at all. And your husband is somewhere in the middle. So
Exactly.
what decision did you have to make? Because it sounds like it was a pivotal time for you.
Yes, it was. I had to. Yeah. Now I have two boys. Unfortunately, at that time, Leroy was younger, and Jesse was quite demanding in his needs. And my husband focused more on Leroy. He focused more on the younger brother.
The
When he
supposedly normal
yes,
child.
exactly. If we want to go to the barbers, he will take Leroy, or I'll cut Jesse's hair at home. Because he didn't want to expose him, so people start asking, now what's wrong with your child and all that. Because in Nigeria, people can be very nosy. And they want to know what's going on because they don't understand. Some of them, genuinely, they don't know.
Don't understand.
Some are just being nasty. And I noticed all this and I said, look, you can't do this. I've always prayed to I always told God in all my prayers, I wanted 2 children. I have those 2 children. And my prayer too is for them to be as close as we are in my family. So if you do this, you're going to separate them. And that's the end of it. They have to start from when they're small, no matter what it is. We're trying to learn this thing. He said, and his words is, his favorite was then, not God forbid, not for me. And I'm like, why would you say that? And unfortunately, these children, Jesse was very sensitive. He kind of knows what's going on around him. It became a problem to talk to the dad about Jesse. There were fights every day. He walked out of somewhat at a point in time, he just walked out completely. We didn't see him anymore. And then I was left with both of them, just me. And I had to bring in my parents. When I resumed work, my parents will take them to school, bring them back home, get them ready, because of course my work, I closed at 5 p.m. And I had to get 2 live-in house help to help with the children. One was specifically to take care of the house. One was specifically for the 2 of them. But unfortunately for us in Nigeria, Jess is going to school. They're telling you he's doing well in maths, he's doing well in English. And I'm like, how? And of course, my marriage broke down. My husband walked out. And I made a decision then that I can't get the help I need here. It took a while for me to take that decision. So I decided to leave Nigeria. And I first of all went to the US. But the US, there's so much things you have to do. There's so much processing for you to get support. And I came to the UK and I spoke to a few people. I went to the National Autistic Society. They had a seminar then. I went and listened and I kept in touch. Eventually, I took a decision that I was going to move to the UK. At this time, their father was nowhere to be found and I had to do everything by myself. But I needed his consent, which he refused to give. So I filed for a divorce because the relationship had broken down. And I had to look for I had to look towards getting my children, especially Jesse, support that I couldn't get in Nigeria. So when that broke down, the divorce came through, and I brought Jesse to the UK in 2013. So you see, it took that long. It took me almost 2 years to get that sorted. So at that time, Jesse was already 8.
So you had to make a choice between your marriage and Jesse.
Exactly.
And so you couldn't no longer stay in Nigeria and hope that one day your husband will change his mind and come back home. So what you're telling us is that he sort of walked out and abandoned you and the boys.
Yes.
But in the meantime, you kept going.
Yes, I did.
Kept trying to find a way for Jesse, manage your home. Your parents were very supportive, but at some point you had to make a decision because even when you contacted him, he still wasn't willing to help.
Yeah, he didn't want to give his consent for me to get.
Didn't want to give
because the law is that you need the father's consent to get the children out of the country.
Okay, yes, because in Nigeria the children belong
to the father.
To the father, yes, he has parental rights, or he has all parental rights. All
parental rights, yes.
Yes. So that's another thing that I know it's difficult, it's challenging to not only to get a divorce, but also for the parental rights to be given to the mother.
Yes, it is. It took a while because even in the courts, they wanted him to appear in court. I think what informed the judge's decision then was he never turned up in court.
Okay.
He never turned up, not once, despite the several servings. He never turned up in court. So the judge just felt that he wasn't a good parent. She mentioned it in her letter in the judgment she gave, that she doesn't see how he can take care of those children when he doesn't even know. He's not even there for them. He's not there for them. He's been called to come and give testimony in court. He's never been there once, never appeared once. So they gave me full custody of the children as part of my divorce statement.
Okay, so now you've made the decision that the only way to help Jesse was for you to leave Nigeria, leave your marriage behind, leave your parents and your extended family behind, so leaving your support behind.
Yes.
So a lot of things were lost along the way for Jesse.
Yes, lost. And I lost my job as well. I had a good job.
Yeah.
I wasn't wanting. I was very comfortable. I lost the job. Although my boss was supportive, he understood mothers because I felt I'd waited enough. Using my career, other things in Nigeria as what is it? Reason not to.
Okay.
But looking at
reason not to do what?
Not to move, not to relocate.
Okay, yeah. Because you used, yes, when I asked earlier, you were saying about how you were managing all these difficult emotions, and you said, "Oh, I was working really hard. I used to travel a lot." So the job in itself, in as much as you were successful and good at it,
was an escape route.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was a way for you to sort of close the door on all of this that was happening and focus on something that was good. Actually, it was
Yes,
good.
yes,
You had to
yes,
have something good and something that showed you that you were skilled, you were still valuable, you were contributing to your organization. So it was something for you.
yes, for
Yeah.
me, exactly.
Though, yes, in some way you were using it as an escape, but all of these other things were not great. But at least my work was good. I was working, I was achieving. And that's something else you had to give up, because I know when you came over, it was like you lost everything.
Yeah, I did. I
Yeah.
did.
So,
I
yeah.
lost everything. I lost
Because,
my job. Um, I had some business I was doing on the side as well. I had to shut that down as well. So I practically started from scratch when I moved here. I started from
yeah.
scratch, but I was determined to make it work.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's what I was trying to get, that you left a whole lot, just because of the love you had for
Yeah,
Jesse,
yeah,
uh, and wanting him to be the best version of himself,
of
because the
himself.
country you were living in
Yeah,
didn't. So it wasn't an easy decision. It wasn't a flippant decision, but at that point you were driven by the love you had for him. So
yes.
how did this impact Leroy?
Um, at that time, Leroy was younger. He was just 4, so he didn't really understand. He had gone on holiday before abroad, so he was just thinking we're going on holiday again.
Mm-hmm.
But when we now relocated and it was time for them to, I explained to him that we're moving because he saw that we're packing everything. Normally, we don't pack everything.
Mm-hmm.
We're packing stuff, we're giving away stuff, and even sometimes at the point in time was he had to fight with me for his toys. I shouldn't give his toys away, but
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't take them with us, So I told him pick one that you want to play with. So he picked one, and he was picking another and picking. I said, "No, Leroy, you have to be only one thing." So it took a while for him to understand. But when we now moved and came to the UK in 2013, it was during summer, so it was a holiday. He got to meet new people, and stuff like that. And eventually, we came school, and he said, "Mommy, when are we going back school? We're going to school. Are we not starting school again? Am I not going to school again?" And I said, "No, you start to school here." And he looked at his school here. Well, grandma and grandpa,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, we'll go and see them, but not right now. It took a while to convince because every time he was asking for grandpa, he was very close to his grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see grandpa, I want to see grandpa. And of course, a different environment. He starts school here in the UK. He has an accent and people are laughing. He comes home crying.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to deal with that and also deal with Jesse as well. So it was quite a bit, it was quite a lot at that time, having to balance both, getting him settled and getting Jesse the support he needs. I take Lydia to school, then I take Jesse to the hospital. And then it was what you call Sunshine Center. That's where they have the special needs unit. So that was I had to do a lot of that. Of course, behind me, I was like, nothing to do. And the rules in the UK, you can't walk, you can't do this, you can't do that. So much at a point in time, I broke down, to be honest with you. I cried my eyes out and I said, look, I'm going back. On the spot, the moment decision, we're going back. But I looked at it because Jesse had just started school then. It took 11 months for him to start school here in the UK because we were looking for provision for him.
Mm-hmm.
And when eventually he started school, I must say my faith, because every step of the way, I didn't have anybody. I told God, I said, look, as I'm going to this place, let me find favor.
Mm-hmm.
And I did find favor. I found a good pediatrician who kicked off all the referrals to occupational therapy, to speech therapy, to everything, just kicked off all the referrals. And that's where my journey began. Eventually, we had an educational psychologist come to the house to assess Jesse and to get a statement of special needs. It was afterwards I found out that some people wait for a long time, for a very long time, to get a statement of special needs. But Jesse got a statement of special needs 11 months after we came to the UK.
So God had really.
Oh, God, really? Yes, yes, yes. I have the faith. I said, God, I have nobody else. It's just you. So you need to do this for me, because this is the rule. This is what I must get for him to be here, to have support, to have intervention. So,
Okay. I'm just a little aware of the time. So I think
yes.
you'll come and tell us your journey from 2013 to date. But it is like I could feel my heart almost jumping out when you were talking about some of the experiences you've had. You know, I think when I first suggested you coming on the show, I said no, I think it was another program we're talking about, when I was saying that, you know, there will be people who they're just getting the news that their child is a special needs child, which is different because we sort of do all those tests when you're pregnant. And if you're giving the all clear, you just expect a healthy, thriving child.
Yeah, true.
So there'll be, you know, some new parent somewhere who this is their news today, and somebody would be on the road still in denial, struggling to accept that this is what they have to come to terms with, and somebody like you will be somewhere in the middle, because they're, you know, he's still a young teen. No, he's still a teenager, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to be 16 in January.
Yeah. So somewhere in the middle. What can you say to them? What do you want to say to that parent?
Well, the first thing I'll tell them, your child is still your child, regardless of his challenges, regardless of any difficulties he might have. All you need to show them is that you love them and you're ready to support them. They can feel it. They can feel it. If you push them away, they'll close up. But if you open up to them, they will open up to you. The sooner you accept the diagnosis, the faster you can get help. And open up to people around you. There's support out there. You just have to ask for it and look for it. It's out there. And it costs you nothing. It doesn't cost anything. You have to open up, because people, oh, my son is okay, my child is okay. No, you have to accept it. If you accept it and embrace it, it makes it easier for people to help and guide you in the path you're supposed to go through.
And how important has faith, church helped in your journey?
It's helped. I've met wonderful parents. We call ourselves extreme and deliberate parents, because what we do is called extreme parenting. I've met quite a number of people in churches, outreaches. We have support. There's the Abigail Ministry, who runs webinars right now. Well, because of COVID, they run webinars on special needs. There are both fathers and mothers in there. You get to talk to people who have been in the journey longer than you. They'll give you advice, very valuable advice. I recently had to reach out to one of them who gave very valuable advice on how to move forward from where you are. There's also questions are asked, oh, how do I do this? How do I do that? And the answers are there. Somebody must come to your aid. Even when they even provide different, they call you behind and support, even are ready to go with you. In case you're going for a meeting, I'm going to go with you. So that support is there. I can't thank them enough, because it's been recent. I've had a very small support group, but now I have a wider support group. Wider support. Some of them I've not met face to face, but we talk as if we've been friends for years. On the premise that we have children with like needs.
Okay. So you're sharing. I like that when you say extreme and deliberate.
Yeah, extreme and deliberate parenting. Yeah,
Because extreme in sometimes you have to fight for the rights of the children, even though we live
exactly.
in the UK.
Yes,
Because every as we talked earlier, that I think in coming a contact with special needs children, everyone is different and their needs are different. They're so unique in what you need to do for each one of them.
exactly.
So
Because
you have to be.
some
Mhm.
of them are very vocal. My son
Mhm.
is non-verbal,
Okay.
so he uses marketing signing.
So
So
you
most
have to speak for
oh,
him
I have
some.
to learn. I have to, I have to learn. And a lot of these things is how would I put it? Trial and error. You guess.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
is this what you want? Is this
Uh-huh.
Sometimes you get stuck and you're like in your mindset, you won't let it show. You just say, oh, what do I do now? I can't understand what he's telling me. That's
Hmm.
why you have to work with the schools as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get yourself involved in everything around him. That marketing, because it's non-verbal, I had to learn. His brother had to learn.
Okay. That's
So we know
the
the
way, a
basic
special way
signing.
to communicate
Yes,
with him.
that's your way
Yeah.
to communicate. It's speech with signing.
Hmm.
So we had to learn as well.
And do you think, do you think the ethnic minorities we struggle more with acceptance of these issues?
Yes, we do because it's maybe because it's not very wild. There's no the awareness is not is minimal. We don't have the awareness. We're trying to create the awareness, but because even the government hasn't come in to accept that this is there. A lot of the schools that take care of special needs are private schools in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
So you find out that when we're here, it's like it's not in our culture. There's nothing like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not in our culture. It's not in this. Some of them keep their children at home
Mm-hmm.
because of the
I know,
scenario
locked away even.
locked away. So it's
Or they
very
blame it
difficult
that
for us.
somebody did something.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the more we talk about it, the more acceptance. I think it's better now than 10 years
And
ago.
before, yes, definitely.
It's
There's
much
so
better
many.
from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we need to do
So.
more.
Mm-hmm.
We really need to
So,
do more.
and also faith, people of faith. What do you think about
Yeah,
that?
people of faith.
Do
Of
we
course, the first thing
struggle?
they'll tell you, oh, you have to take him to church. They'll pray for him and all that. But first of all, I keep telling people, yes, prayers help, but you have to accept that he's different. God, there's nothing in the face of the earth that God cannot do. If there's anything that God cannot do, it doesn't exist. There's nothing that God cannot do. If there's something that God cannot do, it doesn't exist. We keep the faith because besides that, it's God that gave you that child. You have to know that in the Bible itself, there's nothing that God will give you that you cannot carry. There's no burden that God will give you that you can't carry. So I accepted that, look, my faith is being tested here. I want to carry it, but I need your support. That's why I tell God every day, give me the best way to be a good parent to this child. We always
So,
have faith. Faith is key because faith will keep him healthy. It might not change him, turn him around within 24 hours, but that faith keeps going because miracles can happen at any time of his life. It doesn't mean it must happen now because we say God's time is the best. So we wait for that time and do the best
uh,
we can till then.
we can. And if God doesn't do it the way we want to do it, yeah,
We should accept it
yeah,
and know that
and
it's
I
not
think,
for him.
mm-hmm.
Because you see,
And know that,
no matter what challenges are, I have seen people with difficulties that have achieved tremendous what word would I put there? They've done so well for themselves in the world that they are acclaimed people. They know them. They are well known.
Just like the first lady who told you he had autism. She was
Yes,
on the spectrum, yeah.
exactly.
And even people with who are further down the line, a lot of them can be geniuses. They can cram a lot,
Yes,
play
they
instruments,
do.
play
We have
several instruments.
the what's his name now? The human
Okay,
photographer.
yes, yeah,
He's on the spectrum.
yeah.
All he needs is to see something and he draws it exactly as it is.
So God hasn't left them without a gift, without a
Mm.
talent.
Mm.
But what I think you're saying, the sum up is that whatever life has, God gives you the grace
To carry it on.
to manage it,
Yes.
and at the end of it, there is a good result. It
Oh
might
yes,
not be
there is.
in the big in how we expected him to answer. I think that's so, but he does answer. He
He
does
does.
answer
He
by
does answer.
keeping Jesse healthy. He answers by giving you the grace to know what to do or how to bear the responsibility. He answers in Leroy not resenting his big brother and
Mm.
wanting to be there for him. So God is answering
Yes.
the prayers, not in
Yes.
the way that we want or want it to be spectacular, but in
He's
the
answering it
gentleness
his
of
best way
every
for
day.
us.
Yes, he's
Best way
and
for because
his name
our
is being
children may never be
glorified.
doctors,
Yeah,
lawyers, politicians, presidents, governors, but they will achieve something that is
something.
unique to them.
Yeah.
Unique to them. We just have to accept it that way.
Like all of us. Like all
Yes.
of us. Like all of us, yes. We not everybody will get to the top, but they would have left their own footprints in the sign somewhere in
Yes,
somebody's life.
definitely.
Okay. So we've talked about mother, faith. What would you like to leave everybody with? Talk to parents who, have special needs children, but what would you like to leave all of us, anybody else who's watching with?
There's a reason why that child is in your life. You need to find what that reason is and make the best of it. Every child, disability or not, has a unique character. For us to be the parent of those children, God chose us for that journey. We should carry that journey as best as we can, and He will be there for us at every step of the way. Just hold on to Him. You hold on to Him, He will be there for you. Because I can testify, I can testify. Everything that's happened to me since I came to the UK in 2013 has been ordained by God. Every step of the way. Because I've left it to Him. I do my bit, I say, God, I've done it too. The remaining is up to you. And I wait on Him. Wait on Him. No rushing. We're used to everything now. Let God do it. And because when He does it, it's perfect, it's complete, and it's permanent.
I felt like shouting amen. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you
No
for
worries.
sharing your story
No problem.
so honestly.
We're still on it. We're still on the
Yes.
journey. Yes, I was going to
Oh,
get to
yes.
the end of it.
And I'm sure you'll be back to fill us in from 2013 to
No problem.
date,
I will. Surely.
so that we
If
will
I
know
know
how
what I know now, then mothers won't have to worry. Really?
Yes, I'm sure
They
people would
won't.
have picked up
Yes.
that you're a bulldozer yourself.
Yes. Because you have to go on with it head on.
Yeah.
You know? It's tough. I won't lie, it's tough. But it's doable.
Yeah.
With God on you. When you have God on your right side and your left side, all around you. Smooth
Nothing,
sailing. You
The
will cry your
boatman
tears
gets
though.
lucky.
You will cry your tears though. You will get upset. Or every extreme emotion you will feel, but you get over it.
Thank you,
No worries.
Jackie. What a heart-rending story of how life can be challenging. But I think what I find so humbling is the way she has um, embraced the challenge and set her heart out to getting the best for her young, handsome son Jesse. He's quite a tall young man. Uh, Thank you again for watching. My name is Lydia Khalil, and I will see you next week.
LCBN television broadcasts 24/7 on UK Freeview Channel 271, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, Google TV, See Love World, LCBNTV.com, LifeComTV.com.